say goodbye to boring, one-dimensional, flat paintings. We're about to fix that right now in beautiful Telluride, Colorado. Check it out, I got this massive brush from Home Depot. Just wanted to kind of try it and experiment with it for blockings. Yeah, paint is flying. I like this, it works. Okay, well, subscribers have asked and I'm here to help. I'm gonna show you how to create the illusion of perspective in your landscape plein air paintings using atmospheric perspective and linear perspective. With perspective, you know, what it is essentially is you're creating the illusion of depth on a flat surface. And you're doing that by using lines to converge at the vanishing point on the horizon line, okay? So in English, and for beginner plein air painters, that just means you're making objects in your painting appear smaller as they go further from you and recede into the distance. Okay, so right into it. Point number one, tip number one right here is linear perspective terminology. Starting with point number one here is the horizon line. The horizon line is a line where the sky meets the land in your painting, okay? The most obvious way to look at that is if you are looking at the ocean and you see a sunset. You know, you can see the sky meet the water. That is the horizon line. And it changes as you change positions, okay? A lower horizon line, it's going to give prominence to the sky, okay? Because essentially, if this is the horizon line, there's not much more room for the sky to take prominence in the painting. If you do a higher horizon line, somewhere up here, the prominence is going to take place in the lower part of your painting, middle ground to foreground. So that's an important piece. With me, I'm sitting here in the middle of the street, looking out. Eye level for me is, you know, probably right about here. So I'm going to give more prominence to the sky and to that mountain at the end of the street, which is so spectacular. And it's horizontal. Okay? It can't be crooked, at least that I know of. And there's only one horizon line in the painting. So right now I'm just drawing the left sidewalk here, okay, and I'm just briefly hinting and suggesting these parallel lines, which I'll talk about here. The second piece of terminology under point number one is the vanishing point. Vanishing point, okay? So the vanishing point is the furthest point that you can see out on the horizon line. And so all the parallel lines in your painting need to converge and meet at that vanishing point. Those are called your vanishing lines, you know, but my vanishing point is going to be right about here, okay? So all my parallel lines in my painting will come out toward my vanishing point right there. So for this painting, it's going to be right about here. There can be more than one vanishing point on the horizon line. And so if you have one point perspective, which this painting is, you're just going to have one vanishing point. If you have 2 point perspective, you're going to have 2 vanishing points in the painting. And I'll snap up a picture of 2 point perspective, but 2 point perspective shows essentially the side view. If we're on a street, it would show the side view of buildings, you know? If I was standing in the street corner looking over at that building to my right, for example, that could be an example of 2 point perspective. For example, if I was standing right here, I could look at this street corner building going off here, and then I could look at the other one kind of going off here. And that's where you draw, like, you know, you have multiple views from the side of a building. Okay, as you see my videos before, I do in the drawing stage, do the 4 P's, pieces, placement, proportion, perspective. I divide the complex landscape up into 3 to 5 easy, recognizable pieces that I can kind of bite off and manage, if you will. I think I'm probably going to have about 4 pieces. One piece is going to be this kind of building, street right here. Piece 2 will be this building right here on the left side of the street. So we'll kind of draw it out for you. There's 1. Piece 2 right here. 3 will be the road. And piece number 4 will be the mountain in the background at the end of the street. I'm gonna get my mountain in here. Such a beautiful, magnificent mountain at the end of this street on Colorado Avenue in Telluride, Colorado. You see my videos, this is kind of where I paint, all around here, up in the mountains here. Down where I am, it's the main village. It's an internationally known ski resort. I apologize for the traffic noise, but I am literally sitting right in the middle of the street right now. So, man, the mountains just go on forever. It's just heavenly. It's unbelievable. these buildings just a little bit lower so that I can fit more of these gorgeous mountains in its placement, okay? Everything in the painting has a boundary, so I want to make sure that, you know, my buildings over here, you know, they have their boundary over here. These buildings over here have their boundary there. The mountain is right there. So proportion, basically, I want to make sure that everything in the painting is kind of sized appropriately with artistic license, of course, but you know, I want to keep the buildings about the size they are. The mountain, I want to show prominence to it and make it the right size. Cars, if I show them on the street, I want to show them at the right size. And of course, the reason why we're here, perspective. You have a chance to show perspective in your painting. You want to show that. Whether it is a street like I'm painting on now, or railroad tracks, or a river, or buildings, or what have you. Use correct lines, use correct perspective techniques to show that depth and perspective in your painting. And that's why we're here. There's a sheriff that just passed me. I'm hoping he doesn't stop me. I think this is legal to paint in the middle of the street like this, but I'm not completely positive. I guess we'll find out. If I'm not here for the rest of the video, you'll know why. Okay, so I'm going to spend a little more time in the drawing stage of my 4-stage technique here in the video because, you know, a bad drawing equals a bad painting. A good drawing equals good painting. And perspective is all about drawing. It's correct lines. Okay? So we got our sidewalk lines right here. This building right now completely in shadow. So one thing you want to do in your drawing stage is show your darkest dark and then show your shadows if you can. Okay? Judging by where the sun is. This whole side of the street is in light right now, and I think it will stay as such for a time to come here. Sorry, you're going to hear a lot of voices, a lot of cars here. I am right in the middle of the street. But I think it's worth it to give you this view. It's unbelievable. One of the most amazing views I think I've ever seen in a, you know, kind of in a mountain town. It's just absolutely breathtaking. All right, pieces placed from proportion perspective. The other thing I do when I'm looking at perspective is I'll take my paintbrush and look at the angle. Just use your brush for the angle. Put it out there on the buildings itself, out there in the landscape, and angle your brush. And just kind of look at that angle, hold it for a second, and then put it on your painting. And then just try to hold that same angle, you know, to show your convergence lines, your parallel lines accurately. All right, so I'm slowly working up to this in the drawing stage. We've got a good basic foundational drawing here. Well, hey, if we're just meeting, my name is Terry, and my passion is plein air painting and enjoying God's beauty outdoors. If I earn it, subscribe to the channel, watch more videos. It really does help support this channel. Hit the bell for notifications. You don't want to miss our outdoor plein air adventures up here in the high mountains of Colorado every 2 weeks, so you can get tips and techniques to help you make beautiful plein air paintings. All right, let's do this. Here we go. Okay, now this line, you see there's some kind of rooftops right over here. I've got this line that's going to go toward the horizon line. That line is going to go toward the horizon line. And then I've got another line I need to put in here that goes this way, where there's some kind of shop rooftops, if you will, just kind of coming down here. Okay, let's go forward. Here we go. In the drawing stage, the other thing that I do is I start with my darkest dark. So as we work with perspective here, I'm going to talk about atmospheric or aerial perspective later in the painting, and that's another way to create perspective. But one of those ways is with your darkest darks. Okay, I'm seeing some street windows here that are darkest darks, so I'm going to put those in just very briefly right here as well. And if we're lucky later in the painting and we make it to sunset, twilight hour, alpenglow here, you will see something that is insanely beautiful, and we can catch some street lights, and these dark windows will come in handy for me at that point. Like I say, I'm in an old gold mining town. I talk about it in all my other videos, but this town was kind of born in the gold mining era, so it's exciting. A lot of different colored rocks back here. That's kind of what I'm saying. Okay, let's get you down on palette view here and show a little bit of color mixing for some of the blocking colors for the sky. I'm going to use a little bit of titanium white and some cerulean blue. I'm going to put a touch of cad red in that mixture for kind of a pretty sky blue violet color for the pavement here, the road. Okay, so keep my lights on the right side and my darks on the left. So a little titanium white, and let's kind of try to keep some harmony in this painting and use a violet color. I'm going to use complementary colors to mix a gray. So I'm going to use a little bit of alizarin crimson, some cobalt blue. I'm going to bring up a violet color, just a light in value violet color, cool in temperature. In my previous video on color mixing, you'll know that you can make that into a beautiful gray by just putting a touch of the complementary color orange in there, in that violet, and it'll make a nice, beautiful, cool gray color that we can use for the pavement there. You can also make that with a little bit of cad red or permanent rose, and then mix in a little bit of cobalt blue, a little yellow ochre, a little cad, yellow light, just for a lighter pavement color. So I've got a kind of a warm and a cool for the pavement, depending on how I see it, depending on how the light changes. Forest color there on the top right. The titanium white. Let's make a pretty blue color from ultramarine blue. A cad yellow medium. Bring up a pretty green color. Looking out on it. It's in dark and shadow. It's in light and shadow. It's going to change as the sun sets here. Let's make it way cooler. So a little permanent rose, a little phthalo blue. Just cooling it right up. Nice, cool blue color. Can't make it too dark because it's not my darkest dark. Let's make a building color, like I said. Again, let's use complementary colors to do that using violet. So I'm going to go with cad red. I'm going to go with ultramarine blue and make my purple color. And I'm just trying to keep color harmony in my painting by mixing my neutrals with complementary colors. Violet and orange, blue and yellow, red and green. So I'm going to try to do that throughout the painting. Real nice. A little more ultramarine blue or cobalt blue. Building color. Okay, here we go. Gonna have to talk over the cars. All right, let's start with the sky color. Hey, look, I got a new brush. It is a flat. I've never used a flat. I don't think hardly ever. I have one flat in my painting repertoire toolbox, but this is a big flat. It's a 20, a Raphael Precision, and it's a synthetic. I've never used synthetic brushes before in my life, but I wanted to try them because I think that they sometimes wear better. Let's see if that's the case. All right, let's start off with the this beautiful sky color. And just kind of block that in. Get that in quickly. Okay, and I'll talk some more about perspective here as we go, all right? So the next thing I want to talk about as I block in my colors is the terminology under point number 1 here is orthogonal lines. Fancy name, I don't like it. Say parallel lines instead. Okay, so all the lines that converge, to the vanishing point on the horizon line are called your orthogonal lines. That's these lines right here. All right, so I just need you to know that terminology. Let's you and I call them parallel lines because I don't like to be fancy like that. But those are your orthogonal lines or your parallel lines, and all of them meet at the vanishing point on the horizon line. Just kind of using impressionistic technique here, kind of laying in some strokes side by side. Just put in some hints of it. I'm not going to overmix the colors, so a little titanium white and cerulean blue, and not overmix. Just kind of put them side by side like that, leaving space in between the strokes. Okay, just kind of forms some depth in the sky. Okay, let's get the forest in here. Define that square building right there. I'm going to be chasing the light here. I don't know if I can do it, but I'm darn well going to try. Wow, the party has started. The band is here. Guess you can probably hear that, huh? Color in there. Let's talk a little bit about Vantage Point. All right, Vantage Point is another thing you need to know about when you're talking about perspective, and that really is you know, your view of the horizon line, kind of your vantage point, where you're sitting, where you're standing, where you're painting from. And the reason that's important is because you can have a high eye level, a centered eye level, or a low eye level. Okay, so it's important to, if you want to show depth in your painting, perspective, that you show the viewer where you're viewing the horizon line from. You got to get that right, you know. So know your vantage point, know what a high level vantage point looks like, and a low level vantage point, and a centered vantage point. I'm pretty much at a centered vantage point right now. I'm a little bit high, I'm looking a little bit down at the horizon line. These parts of the buildings are below the horizon line, kind of where I'm viewing. And these are above, so they're coming down. And so your orthogonal lines or your parallel lines have to reflect your vantage point. All right, that's why it's important to talk about that. Just go with this fun, street color that you're seeing there. If we have time, we'll get some of those parked cars in there. I'm sure we will, but we'll try. So the shadows are also your orthogonal lines. Okay, so remember, every line on the painting has to go toward the vanishing point, toward the horizon. So these shadows from the cars and from the shops and the rooftops have to be portrayed accurately. They can come out at different, different angles here, but these parallel lines have to be at the right angle. See, like that. And there's not much one over here. The sun, that's in full light. Try to leave my windows in there, you know. So this painting won't look like anything until the very end. And even then, I can't promise it'll look like anything. I'm here for a memory, an emotion, a mood. And I'm going to use every tool at my disposal to try to show that. The weather, the wind, the light, the noises, the sounds, whatever I can capture. What I want this painting to walk away feeling like is a lively spring evening here in a tourist mountain ski town. Real bright right here on this side of the street, so let's try to show that. When you see a color change, a temperature change, nail it. Get it early on and try to keep it. My mistake is I end up usually not keeping it. I usually cover it up. I also have a free video. Just click the link in the description. I think it's the newest and I think it's the best free YouTube video on plein air setup and supplies. How to get going as a new beginner plein air painter. I try to catch the brightness of these buildings over here. Not over mixing my colors on purpose, just to kind of create a visual effect. You see a brush stroke like that, you may want to just try to leave in, because it's kind of bold and it's cool. It's got a mix of different colors in it. You see, $20 as I covered up. What's super cool is right here, I'm starting to get some kind of sunset building colors right there. Kind of just mixed in my warm puddle and my cool puddle to make what I call a quorum. It's cool and warm. Quorum. It's kind of a nice visual effect. Okay, let's get the palette knife out. What do you say? Just kind of do some fun, thick strokes like that on these buildings. Just see what we can come up with. Don't overmix. Mixing warms and cools together, picking it up on the palette knife and putting it down. Just to kind of see what I get. It's fun, just like that. Not worried about staying inside the lines, as you can tell. kind of excited about this next video, the Monet challenge. You know, I've really learned a lot by studying Monet and the Impressionists. I'm really looking forward to getting you that video, hoping that you learn a lot from that, and hoping that you'll take up the Monet challenge. Okay, so there's 1-point perspective, there's 2-point perspective, and there's 3-point perspective. There might even be more, but my brain starts to boggle after that, so I'm not gonna bother. If I show the right color value and temperature of the snow in shadow here on the mountain, it'll really help me show good atmospheric perspective. It needs to be a cool blue color, but not too dark. So down here we're more in shadow. Okay, and then 3-point perspective is a little bit more advanced. It's kind of that height view, like when you're looking kind of maybe up, you know, the CN Tower, you know, in Ontario, or the Empire State Building. There, it shows that kind of that different dimension of height. And we're not going to do that. All right, let's use the palette knife here, and let's just see what happens. Okay, had to talk to an easel visitor there. Sorry about that. Local gentleman doing some biking. Took my business card, interested in the painting. We'll see how it goes. All right, back to perspective. Just really catching some of these mountain shadows here right now. I am going to chase the light like you've never seen, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep up. Certainly catching. Most brilliant. There's some rocks back here. Kind of typical of Colorado, so I want to show that for sure. Right there. Snow sweeping up here. It's in shadow. Any of you people like gardening, like my wife does, like it's a obsession? We are springtime's coming up here, and so gardening, of course, is top of mind at our house. I don't know about you, but wow, it's a serious sport with my wife. Tell you what, no joke, I'm joking around about that. We bought this house kind of up in the high desert mountains to renovate it, and it's awesome, but it has no. It's on a well, it's on a water well, so it has no domestic, you know, kind of like water from the city, if you will. So the water is really salty because of the sediment and all the stuff in the ground. So you can't water your trees. You can't drink it either because it's so salty, and who knows what else is in it. But so she wants to expand her garden, and that entails buying a water tank, like either below ground or above ground. We already haul water as it is, you know. So now she's asking me to up this water game. We're kind of having some disputes about it, if you will. I don't think I'm going to win. I don't want to be a professional water hauler all summer, you know what I mean? I want to be painting. To be truthful about it. Green roof that kind of sticks out here. on this car right here. Impressionism, yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. It's coming, yeah, thanks.
That's really awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not the greatest place, but
It's a brave thing to do.
yeah, thank you.
It's amazing to see all those colors.
Yeah,
Are you a colorist?
colorist, Russian Impressionism, so it's...
Where did you sell your paintings anywhere?
Yeah, I used to be in the Will Be Joyful Gallery right
Yeah,
here.
I used to buy a paintings there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, another easel visitor. There's a card given out to an interested customer. Always kind of fun. It's nice for people to stop by and enjoy your work. All right, we're working on these automobiles here on the street, slowly but surely, waiting for the magic hour to creep up. So you want to be able to lead the viewer's eye through the painting, through these different layers. That's kind of the goal. So let's talk about color. Color is going to get more intense in the foreground and less intense in the background. Values are going to be darker in the foreground and lighter in the background. Colors are going to be, warmer in the foreground, and so the middle ground and background, colors are going to be cooler. Let's make the mountains pop back here. The French Impressionists were the first ones to really paint atmosphere. They were known for not painting things or giving a name to a thing, but painting the atmosphere between them and the object. That's what we're doing with atmospheric perspective. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's take a quick close-up view here, and we are not done yet. We have to put the streetlights on real quick, so stay tuned for that. That's pretty cool. But, you know, I think the biggest mistake that I see with beginner plein air painters is they have a lack of depth in their paintings. And so work on getting your linear perspective correct. Know where your horizon line is, and then know where your vanishing point is, and make your lines go there correctly. And, you know, when you look at atmospheric perspective, you got to nail your color value and temperatures. That's really going to help you create depth. And if you can do that, you'll really vastly improve your paintings right away. Well, go ahead and click that next video that you see up there on the screen called How to See and Mix Oil Paint Colors on Plein Air. I promise it'll take your on plein air color mixing abilities to the next level. You learn how to make your colors pop. You learn about complementary colors. So go ahead and click that now, and I will see you over there on that video. And hey, God bless. We'll see you next time up in the mountains.